Hey. Okay, you guys. Hi, my name is Marie. I like to make things, and then I like to turn around and show you how I made those things. Welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to do these tassel earrings. They may look very intricate, but they are super duper simple to make. You wouldn't believe it. So I'm going to teach you how to make these earrings using thread that you already have wrapped up, or if you went to the store and you bought them before you wrapped them up. So these are the supplies you're going to need. Of course, you have your embroidery thread. I have this little tassel maker. I'll show you how to use that. You're also going to need some 26 gauge wire. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not that important. You are going to need all your tools. Like I have all my little wire wrapping tools. Yes, today we are going to be using this magical guy that I talked about a couple months ago, and I finally broke down and bought one. It really wasn't that much. It's not that I broke down and bought it. I think what had happened was I forgot to buy it. I was like, yeah, I want to try this out. YouTube Shorts. And then I forgot to buy it. And then I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I finally bought it. I didn't break down and buy it. I just bought it. Okay. So we're going to try this beat along pliers that I've been dying to try. It's double-headed monster. Yay. And of course I have my double barrel loop thingamabob thing. And then of course I'm going to have some copper wire. I think what I'm going to use is 20 gauge copper wire. My cutters, a pair of scissors, Fiskars is my favorite. Then I just have this little paper towel laid out here because we're going to need to use Scotch Guard just in case if you're wearing it on your face and you always have makeup on and stuff, and it might get on the threads because it is still a fabric. We're going to use Scotch Guard to seal all that in so you don't get any staining. And then I have a comb. To start off, we are going to use the thread first. I'm just going to push these off to the edge here, and then I am going to fold it. And then after I fold it, I'm going to grab some wire here. Now I only have one of these guys. I always wrap up my embroidery thread, so I only have one of these. I had to search high and low for one of these guys, so I'm like, I only have one. Can't make mistakes, okay? All right, so now I have it folded in half. So I have my little end here, and I'm just going to, I just have it in the middle here, okay? And I'm just holding it, and I'm just gonna bend this a smidgel. And so what I'm going to do is, leaving this right here, we're gonna act like this thing right here is just merged together with the thread, because we are going to be wrapping all of this, okay? This is just to wrap the end just so it can be secure. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it, I'm pulling it around to the back, and I'm just wrapping it around. It's just that simple, okay? So I'm going to just wrap it around, paying attention to the back of my work, just paying attention, just looking at it, just to make sure that it's all straight. Now, and I can also take this end and pull it, because this end right here is the very first wrap that I did. So I'm going to pull it just to make sure and hold it at the same time. So now it's straight, okay? It's up to you how tightly you want to wrap it or how loose you want to wrap it. That's completely up to you. But I'm going to wrap and then tip it towards me so I can look to make sure there's no threads of the embroidery thread poking through, and just wrap this around and tip it back to me so I can see it, and just wrap. So this is what it should start to look like. This is what I like about this really thin wire, is that it looks like one big piece of wire if you wrap it just right, because if you wrap it just right, it's going to look just like this. Now I'm going to keep wrapping this to about right here, which will be about an inch. And just in case if you get any of embroidery thread poking through, what I like to do is just grab both ends of the wire part and just rock it back and forth, like flexing it and then pulling the embroidery thread at the same time. And that would eliminate some of those little gaps. All right, so now from this point, got about 1.5 inches, as you can see. I'm going to take and we're going to need all the patience that we have in our body, because this is really tough to bend. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bend this a little bit, okay? So we're going to bend it. I'm not bending it all at once. I'm kind of bouncing it. Like I'll bend a little bit, move to another spot, bend that. And then I'm going to start getting to the point where I'm pinching it, okay? So now we have a little pinch here. So now we're going to take the end of our wire and we are going to start wrapping around both. What we're doing is we're tightening this pinch and we're holding this pinch in place by wrapping it a little bit along the bottom here, okay? So that's what it should look like. You may have some little threads poking through, but that is okay. No one's looking at it that closely. So now you're going to take this little end right here and we're going to try to rope it through right up in here. Should be easy, but you know, sometimes things will be like, oh, it should be easy, but then it's really not. So I just take it, make sure I have my little end. Can't really see it, but I have my little end right here, and I'm just going to start poking it through here. You can either hold it with a pair of pliers or you can just do it with your fingers, because if you do it with your fingers, you can feel it give and actually go through. Sometimes I like to spread them out a little bit. All right, there you go. Because you'll find the wire will find a hole somehow, some way, okay? So I'm going to take my little pliers here and I'm going to grab that end, okay? And then I'm just going to pull it through, okay? You see it wrapping up. There we go. And so from this point, you can probably cut it with a pair of scissors. You could just cut it as close to the end as possible and it won't come unwrapped. So then you should have this. So of course you have these two ends that are still in. If I'm going through multiple strands of something, these are the best ones. Fiskars also, but. And I'll just cut right through there. Okay. Then you have this little number. Okay, so that's one tassel. So now let's do the next tassel when you're using this thread that's already loose. So I'm going to sit this down on my paper towel, just out of the way, because we're going to Scotch guard all this together. Okay, so now we have our little thread that we already had threaded. So I found these little tassel makers. I'll put them in the description box below, of course. I always do that. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging, okay? Really? And it has these series of little notches on it. I don't really need that per se. I don't know. I guess it's like if you have really thick yarn, it would be able to fit in these notches, but we have this thin thread, so I'm just gonna hold it. And what we're doing is, so I'm gonna hold it here, which makes me think that's where my finger goes. So I'm gonna hold it like this, and I'm holding the end of the string here, just so it doesn't come unloose. And so these right here, these little recessed areas right here is where I'm going to wrap around. So I'm going to wrap all the string that is on this embroidery thread card here. Okay. All right, so we're at the end. And so from here, you can either take a string that's just a separate string. Some people like to take a separate string and tie it, which is really easy. You just push it through. And you can tie it as a security. I don't really need that, but I'm just going to show you what it looks like. I'm just going to tie a little string around it, okay? This is just to keep it all together, I guess, but it's not very secure, but it's secure enough for what you need it for, okay? So you have that. And so from this point, because we can't wrap and thread this wire around this thing. It just isn't going to work that way. It's going to take forever. We ain't got that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my really big, hefty scissors, and I'm going to cut through all these. Okay, so now we have our loose string here. Okay, this is the part where I feel like I don't want this string here, but it's okay. So I'm just going to move it down a smidgel. So then I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the labeled embroidery thread. And I'm going to take my little piece here, because since I'm going to be wrapping in this direction, I'm going to have it pointing that way. And so I like to find the almost middle, and then I'm going to start wrapping it. The first wrap is always the hardest. The first wrap is where you need the most patience, okay? Because once you wrap that, it's locked in. Then I'm going to take my little end here, and I'm going to pull it. So I'm going to pull it, and then that kind of locks everything in. Okay, so here you go. That's the first couple wraps. And so I'm going to keep doing that, paying attention to the other side and make sure there's no embroidery thread. See, I have some embroidery threads sticking through here. I'm going to move the wire, move the embroidery thread around, and I'm going to like wiggle. See, and then it lets it loose. And so now I can keep wrapping. I'm going to keep wrapping it until I have an inch left. So I have about 1 inch of wire wrapped here. And so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire that's inside of my string here, because I feel like it's going to be a problem later. What we want to do, if you have some extra left over, take some scissors. It's thin enough to cut with a pair of scissors. And just cut that really quick. Boom. Okay. Put it somewhere safe so you don't step on it later. Now I have this wire wrap. So what I'm going to do, again, get your patience together. And we are going to bend this. Bouncing it, bouncing it, bouncing it, bouncing it. Okay. Until we have it in half like this. Okay. Next, we are going to take our wire going in the same direction that we were going and continue to wrap, except we are wrapping over both ends and wrapping the 2 ends together. Okay. So the first wrap is a little bit scary, but just follow through with it. Don't be afraid, and pull if you need to, but not too much that you're going to snap it. Pay attention to the other side of your earring and just keep wrapping. I'm going to wrap down a little bit further than I did on the last earring, because with the last earring, I cut the wire prematurely. See, with the last earring, I didn't go down very far. See if you can see the difference. See, I'm going down a little bit further. I'm doing more wraps, and so it's starting to look like that. So I kind of like that. So now from this point, we can cut. We can use our little pair of scissors because this wire is so thin. And so I'm going to cut that at about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to straighten it out as much as possible. So from here, you remember that little string that I tied on that really was not important? I'm just going to pull that off real quick. This is only going to get in the way. And it's okay that your strings are not matching, because we're going to cut all that and we're going to cut it evenly. So now we have our little end of our wire here. And so what I'm going to do is, again, I don't know why I'm needing all this patience today, but I'm going to take this little end right here and I'm going to rope it through here. You might find it easier to like split it as much down the half as you can. Like I'll split it a little bit just to make it a little bit more easy to poke it through. And there it is. It's going to find a hole. So I'm going to push it through. Make sure I'm not grabbing any other strings up in there. And then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to pull this through. There you go. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut that as flush to the earring as possible. So now I'm going to lay this down flat, get my hefty scissors, my hefty fiskers. I might even comb this out a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to cut these at a certain length. Ooh, I didn't do very good there. Okay. You can always cut off more or cut off less later. And I'm going to sit them. Okay, so let's get some earring wire on these guys now. So what you do is you take your 20 gauge copper wire, and I got these double barrel loopers. I'm going to pick the biggest loop on these guys, and I'm just going to pinch it at about 1.5 inches, okay? Then I'm going to wrap it around like that. And I bend it so that it is straight. So it is straight about right here, and then this is straight back, but this is underneath this guy. Okay. See, it's underneath. So then from there, take it off my loopers, grab whatever it is you want to put on there and just loop it on. Okay. So now that is sitting in the circle. Then from there, I'm going to take these pliers right here, and I'm just going to grab it. Now I have this loose end is on top, pointing up. So then I'm going to start wrapping around this part. And holding this really tightly, I'm just going to start wrapping around. And I want to make sure that it wraps tightly so that we can have a series of loops. And I like to wrap it 3 times. Okay. Sometimes I like to take my little pliers just to tighten up these loops so that they don't look so wonky. Okay. So then from here, as you can see, we have the wire pointing down now. We have this, which is still connected to the rest of our wire, and then that is pointing backwards. So now what I'm going to do with that one, this loose, is I'm going to push it up with my thumb like this, and then I just rub my thumb along there to like loop it out. Okay. This is so I wouldn't have to use another tool to do it. And I'm turning it. And then this right here, this is on top now of this. Okay. And so I'm pushing it and I'm bending it and I'm shaping it as I go. And I'm just going to, I like this size. Okay. So I like this size of an earring. And then from this point where these two ends meet, I'm just going to bend up the wire that is still connected. And then from that point, I'm going to take this end wire and just push it back, creating a little closure. Okay. Then I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to cut the closure wire. Then I'm going to cut the wire from my working loop. And then there we go. And there you go. Now our next step is our Scotch guard. So I like to lay my earrings out. I have a window open and I have a fan blowing. I got my little comb ready to go. So I'm going to take my Scotch guard and I'm going to drench this. I'm going to drench these earrings just on the tassel parts. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to take them and turn them over. This embroidery thread that I chose lets me know, you can tell like how dark it's getting. You can tell where the Scotch guard is saturating it. Then when I have it saturated, I'm going to take my comb and I'm going to start combing my tassels out. An average embroidery thread, if you hold it out like this is 6 strands in here. So if I take my comb real quick, you can see that there's multiple strands in there. I'm just going to comb these strands out. And start to give it a different look. And I try to do that on both sides because the comb is not going to reach over to the other side. So I like to comb it through on both sides. And it's also going to help it dry faster when you do that. This one is a better better suited so you can see how the strands are combing out. The Scotch Guard also is helping to saturate it and dampen it a little bit so that it can help with unraveling these strings. And then after I combed sufficiently, I'm going to cut off any excess that is just too much, because it's going to pull some strings. And then when I feel that it is getting dry, I'm going to saturate it again on both sides. How easy were these? These were super duper easy. I hope you guys can make your own tassel earrings. Be sure to when you make your own, make sure you tag me on Instagram. I'm really deeply in the Instagram world. Like, I love Instagram, but TikTok, nah, I don't know. I don't know about TikTok. I don't know about you, TikTok. I don't know. I just like to say TikTok, but being on TikTok is a little not my world. Really, Sneezy Kitty? Sneezy Kitty. If you do your own tassel earrings, be sure to tag me in your post on Instagram. You can tag me on Facebook too. I'm not really on Facebook that much, but I do peek in every now and again. But definitely on Instagram, tag me. I love to see your work. I love to see your comments on different things. So you can comment down below. Make sure you like this video or subscribe, or hit that bell notification too, because that helps you. When you hit that bell notification and when you hit that like button, oh my goodness, that helps me tremendously. Even when you go to the description box below where I have all my merch, like this is a t-shirt that I made. So if you buy t-shirts like this, you help keep my channel running when you buy these t-shirts and stuff. Okay, so as usual, guys, I hope I helped you to make something that I made. Thank you so much for watching this video. And as always, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.